Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the Rational Red channel. My name is Michael, and it still feels good. Have you ever noticed how when good? Have you ever noticed how when good teams lose, that they seem to struggle to conceive the fact that they were just beaten by a better team? There's always an excuse. Oh, we were rubbish that day, or we didn't have such and such. Oh, we didn't have this, or there's. You can't just go, yeah, we were just beaten. You were much, much better than us. End of story. There's always an excuse. If we don't play well and we get battered, we largely were like, we were terrible. Like the better team won. But when you beat a team that's conceived to be better, they can't just concede that they were outdone on the day. There always has to be an excuse as to why it happened. And it's like, just accept it. You got absolutely mauled for 90 odd minutes, and it should have been about 7-0. But you do you. But it is the day after the night before, and it still feels great. And you only have to really look online and see like the discourse around it all. And I think there's quite a few things that we need to, as fans. Well, listen. First of all, we the fans absolutely deserve that. We needed that, and thanks to the players. I don't know what happened in. Well, I'll tell you what. It's interesting. I was going to say I don't know what happened in training, but something switched. So we know you can do it, and it makes it difficult for us when we see you have poor performances. It makes it difficult for us to accept it when we know you can play so well. So you kind of like you're setting a precedent of like we don't expect you to be amazing every single week, but we do expect that when you show you can do stuff like that, that we do expect you to try and maintain some kind of consistency because that's essentially the big difference. But a couple of things that you see the discourse going online. Obviously, everybody's absolutely buzzing, but I think one of the key things is to remember that it is obviously just one game, and we need to take it into the next. I mean, obviously, the next game is Arsenal, another big game, and if we turn up, I mean, they call them set piece FC for a reason. If we turn up and happen to do a number on them, cue the Rocky music. That's like the rest of our season is going to be a Rocky music montage. But we have to like try and keep our heads on because it is easy to get carried away, of course. But we needed that, we deserve that, and we're going to enjoy it for as long as we can. And some of the things people saying like acting like they've won the league or something like that. There's so many. It's quite a nuanced thing. Like number one, like I keep saying, we after everything there's a fan base that we've been through, we absolutely needed that, and we deserve to soak up all of that enjoyment because it was absolutely electric. But not only that, yeah, of course we're going to celebrate it as if like we've just won a title because it's Man City. Like they are great at the moment. They've been doing great things. They've been spending crazy in the window. And they came to Old Trafford and they got absolutely dominated. So of course we're going to celebrate it. They are our noisy neighbours, a big rival. So derby days are just different. They're just something different about those matches. So the bragging rights are like practically winning a cup. But going forward, it asks a lot of questions, doesn't it? Obviously, the big one is what if? What if Carrick pulls off a bit of a blinder and turns us into something that we haven't seen for a long time and maintains it? Then what? Because we've been down this road before with Ollie. He had a great run as interim and then got the job, and it was a bit. I mean, all right, he did a third and a second. Times were a little bit different. There was no crowds for a while. And Carrick was part of that backroom staff as well. So, do we go down that road again if Carrick pulls off? I mean, assume Carrick would want to stay. I get the idea that he got the job on the basis that he was happy just to keep it interim, whereas Ollie was like, no, if it works, I want another contract, and they didn't want to do that. But if it does work with Carrick, do we actually go down that road again? Because essentially, what we're looking for is someone who can steady the ship, bring out consistent performances, and just get us playing well again. And if you have that, there's not a lot of logic in getting rid of it because you found what you're looking for. The problem is you like those 3 or 4 months that are left, or 4 months are left of the season. How's that going to look over the course of another full season, get some transfers in, etc. I guess it just depends what the rest of the season looks like. You can't really make decisions like that off one game. I don't believe it's manager bounce. I've said in previous videos, I said that after Amorim being sacked, there would be a bit of a lull because it came out of nowhere. There was a good cohesion amongst the squad and the manager. They were working towards something. That was quickly snapped away. And I think you kind of saw that. The 2 games with Fletch, I mean, tell you what, though, look at that. Look at the difference in the games we played with Fletch and the games we played with Carrick. I mean, geez Louise, it's night and day. I don't know if that's a coaching thing or if that's just what I was going to say, that I believed it would be a bit of a lull. There was no manager bounce on Fletch because they didn't want the manager sacked. So you're not going to get a bounce because it's going to be the opposite way. Like, you've just taken away something that was part of our process. So I don't believe there's a manager bounce with Carrick. I think that legitimately was just a bit of a fresh approach to tactics and training. And what's interesting is Lisandro, was it Martinez? Martinez did an interview and he said that they got him focused to play on the ball in training. Now, we don't fully know what that means in contrast to what they were training like with Amorim, but they brought back the rondo, and there's a couple of clips online where you can see them just like playing like PSG, and he's done that in 3 days. So something's clicked unmistakably in training that's got them playing like they enjoy what they're doing. And it may well be that because obviously a lot of part of the criticism with when Amorim was in charge was like trying that some players were playing out of positions, but they were trying to adapt and blah blah blah. It could well be that now obviously they're back in positions that they're very comfortable with, and they've been told to do it in a way that is helping them excel. And we saw that on the pitch. But as I say, it's important to remember not to get carried away. It literally is one game, and I know it was an important game. It was a big game. It's a good team, but it is still just one game. So it's not trying to get too carried away. As much as I still just love watching the highlights of it, it was fantastic. But I think hopefully going into next week now, we've not got any other games apart from Premier League, so we've got plenty of time to train, get plenty of rest. We hold an advantage amongst most other teams in the league by having such a smaller schedule. So we've got everything going for us in terms of being prepared to get a Champions League spot. And I do definitely believe we're capable of doing it. I think the team is way, way, way good enough to get one of those top 4 spots, or at least European spot. Downs will come as much as the ups will come. You've got to take that. And I think that's really important as well. Whilst we're riding this wave, if we go to Arsenal and we get played off the park, if we play another game we don't look as good, that doesn't define Michael Carrick's tenure at all. It's just it's going to be the ups and the downs. Every game is approached differently. Some things might get right, some things might get wrong. The other thing I will say is I was going to mention earlier about Carrick being in charge is this. The other thing that's different with this and compared to the Ollie time is that the backroom staff that Carrick's got is obviously different. Steve Holland is so highly regarded for his coaching. Is that what has been the missing key? Is that what we've missed? Someone of that calibre doing the coaching? Because if it is, and what we saw yesterday was not a fluke, it was not a one-off, it was the difference in getting top-level coaching, then, there's nothing other than optimism for the rest of the season. But, yeah, I do think we've got to take it on a game-by-game. But going into next week, a couple of things I would really like to see. Number one, Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt not come out and say, oh, we do it on purpose to try and light a spark in them. No, they need to apologise for being so disrespectful to one of their own players and not trying to give them some sort of support or encouragement leading up to a derby. And I've said it so many times, be critical where it's due. That's not a problem. That's what we all do as fans. We share our opinions online and stuff. Criticising bad performances, bad attitudes is no big deal. But going in on players for no reason, creating negative drama around them for no reason, it's just not needed. It's not warranted. It's not being a fan. It's just being an arsehole. Choose better. So I'd like to see them, eat a bit of humble pie on their podcast that comes out tomorrow or Tuesday, whenever it is. And I'd also like to see no more dressing room leaks of team news and stuff like that. Whatever happened there, whoever did it, really needs nipping in the bud, because whoever's intentionally trying to create a bit of disharmony needs to go. The other thing as well is the comparison to Amrim. We keep like, obviously it's inevitable. There are some people like, and it is annoying because oh, you know, look what happened under Amrim. We did this. Look, Amrim beat City and he beat them well. He's a different style. Like you can't really compare it. This wasn't because Amrim's gone and they've got a spark. It's just they played differently and they've got different coaching. But this constant comparing of Amrim. The reason why I was somebody that wanted Amrim to stay, but you have to sort of look at it in a broader scale. I was not supporting having mediocre performances and doing this. What I was supporting was the perseverance of a proper rebuild. That's what I was supporting, because we keep saying we need one, and there was loads of things that needed changing, like changing the foundations of the dressing room culture and all that sort of stuff. And that's what he was working on. But rebuilds take time, and you can't really judge something in the first year, because in the first season, I don't want to bang on about it, it's time to shut that book now, but his first season, obviously, when he came in November, most people are going to fail in that situation because it was just an absolute shit show, and especially with Amrim, because he was playing a totally different system and he had players that couldn't play it. So what do you expect? But going into this season, things were improving, albeit slowly. But I was my full support was just being patient and just trusting the process, that when all the other things came into play, then eventually it'll be like, right, we've got a solid foundation. But then obviously Carrick's come in, and just like that, it's like bang, and it's just showing it can work. So, you know, you always need patience, whether it's a player, whether it's a manager. But maybe sometimes managers do come in, and managers do actually just have an ability with their backroom staff and stuff just to come in and just make it work by having the right foundations from the get-go. I mean, I've said many times, say what you want about Amrim, he should never have got the job in the first place. That was a bad appointment from the off. He was not suitable for our club, but once you get him, you got to support it and you got to see the process through as long as it can. But rewind it, he should never have got the job in the first place. We should have always got a manager that suited more the profile of the players that we have and the type of football we want to play. Bringing in a manager that goes against all of that made zero sense. But anyway, so so this Steve Holland thing could be what might be the missing key, and obviously if it continues, like I say, I'm still riding that high. You just don't know what the rest of the season is going to look like. But if we do, if we do pull something out of the Arsenal game, man, I tell you honestly, that is just going to be like, I don't know. There's something. There's an air. There's something in the air at the moment about what we've seen, and the hope that it transpires over at Arsenal. Because if it does, I don't know, man. I feel like we'll be bulletproof. Like just run through everyone. I would love to see it. And like I said many times, we the fans needed that so much, but we also deserved it, and that's the big difference. So people online can say what they want, like, "Oh, City." Listen, City have spent a fortune. They've just strengthened again. At the end of the day, don't make your excuses. You lost badly. End of story. There's no excuses to make. You're second in the league, I think. Still, I forgot to check this morning. You're spending a fortune. You're highly regarded to win the Premier League every season. Stop with the excuses. You came to Old Trafford. You got battered. End of story. There was no manager bounce. There was no special formula. We just trained well, turned up, kicked your ass. End of story. All right? See you in the next video.